So I think a puericultrice is the name for a female cult leader of a pedophile ring. And apparently this operated out of Little Ted Nursery in Plymouth. And a woman by the name of Vanessa George has been found guilty of sexual attacks and violence, repeated sexual attacks on infants from 2 years to 5 years. So this is a disgusting, sick psychopath, right? She's been found guilty of the production and exchange of pedophile pornographic images through the medium of Facebook. Now, what I think you should alert your friends in Plymouth and Portsmouth field is, with this action, we are alleging, at least I think we're alleging, that there is an international Pedo-Femme conspiracy launched by your sister Kristine Marcy to infiltrate Pedo-Femme extortionists into the international financial community through the instruments deployed by 100 women in hedge funds. Now, why does that matter? We are traditionally hearing that the banksters should all be locked up. Well, let me just give you a hypothetical. That woman, Anna Chapman, in the United Kingdom, in London, she worked for 3 companies, as I understand. NetJets, which is the outfit that hires or buys Bombardier aircraft and then flies business people to places like Uganda or Kenya for, amongst others, getting their sexual jollies with children. She worked for Barclays Bank, retail sales, and Barclays Bank, if we recollect carefully, was one of the principals, not the principal, of the London interbank offered rate scam, which resulted in a huge fine being paid by Barclays to your sister's United States Department of Justice Asset Forfeiture Fund, which is, of course, a shakedown. If you look at Barclays a little deeper, they have an organization called Spectrum, which is a virtual private network within Barclays for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and I would assume pedophile community. And the problem for Barclays directors, the legitimate directors, and they're not all banksters, and that's just lazy thinking on our part to condemn them as banksters, is they won't know in the board of directors of Barclays which one of them is controlled through pedo-femme extortion by a hedge fund. But the point is that control can be exceedingly lucrative, because all the hedge fund people need to do is to launch a short-selling attack on Barclays by telling the public at large they've been manipulating Libor, which they might quite possibly have done. But the people who manipulate Libor are part of a very elite group of front-running traders, and I would predict that the great majority of the Barclays directors would not have known, wouldn't have had a clue what they were doing. They just became directors of Barclays because there was a nice little sinecure and they got some nice meals in the corporate boardroom, etc., etc. So it's a brilliant method of taking over large corporations and then crashing them, is to get inside the pants, if that's the right word, of a director, one or more directors in the boardroom. And I believe one of the easiest pants to get into are the female pants, because females can be told and convinced often enough the only reason why you're not the chief executive of Barclays is because there's a bunch of patriarchal males who are sexist and they don't like women in the boardroom. And the fastest way of getting into the boardroom, of course, is to get the men to a club a little after closing time at the office and set them up with a child, take your photographs, and then you can guarantee that when you ask that male or female for that matter, who's been entrapped and extorted to get promoted, you're going to get promoted.